Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Repa FM. My name is Amechi Anapwe and I'm joined by Oge Udimo. Oge Udimo is a National Assembly correspondent and he joins us for the first time today. Oge, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So I told him, come. These are the generation that we indeed force us to early retirement in this profession. They have to, these are the people that will indeed take over at some point and take political platform to the next level. How long have you been at the National Assembly covering activities there for DAC Communications?
5 years now.
Okay, so you understand the inner workings of the National Assembly. You understand the color of the water that passes under the bridge. And you also understand all the three sides, according to Hira Bosremi, to the coin, the front, the head, the tail, and the sides. I hope you understand all this.
Exactly.
Okay, let's start our discourse today with a program and analysis today with the president's scheduled visit to the United Kingdom. He's expected to depart Abuja today, accompanied by his lovely wife and indeed senior state officials, many of whom are already in the United Kingdom, negotiating, having some discussions with their counterparts in the United Kingdom. The president will expect him to head to Buckingham Palace, you know, the popular Buckingham Palace where the monarch of England, the king, for a long time it was Queen Elizabeth, but now he's a king that is there. He will also have some bilateral meetings with the British Prime Minister, and indeed we hope, as he does usually, meet with some Nigerians in the United Kingdom. Adeba Badore is also in the studio, part of the old guard of this program. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Amishi. Good morning to Ben, and good morning hello to our listeners, both those watching us on YouTube and those who are listening to us.
37 years last that the Nigerian leader made a state visit to UK. It's not that they've not been visiting. There are official visits, there are personal visits, but a state visit is different. A state visit means that the head of state will play a prominent role. When it's an official visit, you may not see the monarch, the king or the queen. But when it's a state visit, it means it's the king now that is hosting you. You must get to the Buckingham Palace where you do the ceremonies. For state visits, it's more of ceremonies, roll the red logs, through a state banquet where you eat all manners of food, all the beautiful foods the British are known for. They will serve the Nigerian delegation when the state banquet takes place. I've been in some state banquets as Nigeria, former Nigerian president visited, and I can tell you, the food is beautiful. Adeba Badure.
Yeah, it is, but it's not just food. Nigeria has a very strong, long ties of relationship with Britain. They colonized us. And that established the basis upon which we have a relationship with them. In 1960, they left, granted us freedom, and since then we'll be managing our affairs. So the critical question that will probably arise today is that beyond the ceremonies, what can we take away from Britain? The king will welcome the delegation, but there will also be discussions with critical stakeholders in Britain, particularly the government there, the prime minister, and it's an opportunity for us to see at a stage in this country, the British, Nigerian trading with UK was high, very, very high, and it was mutually beneficial to both sides. I don't know what the status
is. This significant? We have a mail saying our relations with UK is to the barest minimum now.
Yeah, now
the likes of China, South Korea have overtaken them in terms of trade relations and trade volume.
What are we gaining in the past? How do we take fresh decisions that could strengthen that? In trading, I don't think we need to be tied to only one apron. we need to be tied to as many aprons as possible where we can derive benefits. And so, like issue of security, for instance, I expect that I should be able to exploit the possibility of getting assistance from Britain if there is anyone that...
Do they have record of assisting people deal with insecurity?
Well, they have. I mean, because of our long relationship, I think these are areas where we should look. We should tap them. That's my take.
Where has the British been involved in resolving global conflict in the last 5 years or 10 years? Can't remember any. They are sitting back.
Yeah, they are sitting back, but that does not mean they don't have expertise. We must not just put them off as if there's nothing we can gain from them. They are not in the league of those who are probably selling arms today, compared with China and USSR and
China and Russia
and I mean Russia and the US. They may not be, but that does not mean as if there are nothing we can gain from them.
At least we can gain something, but is that something substantial?
It depends on how we try to maximize the visit, so that it doesn't. My take is that it should go beyond just ceremonies. Like the key area of our sector, which we are trying to build, for instance, the mine section, solid mineral. London, a very strong spot for things like diamond, gold, and the like. And I think this is an area where, in those days, what we are sending to Britain was perhaps in the area of agriculture. Unfortunately, our cash crops are no longer in a buoyant mood. We are not producing them in a buoyant manner as it used to be before, where we have cocoa, where we have granite, where we have cotton, and so many things which we are exporting to Britain, which was one of the things that even attracted them to Nigeria in the first place, while we were colonized.
Okay.
Today, cash crop in Nigeria is at its low ebb, and I think there is nothing being done to revive it. But I think there are other areas where we could have strong economic ties with Britain in such a way that will be mutually beneficial to the two.
Well, one of the agreements that will be signed will be for a UK firm to come and modernize our ports, Tinkan Island and Apapa Wharf, because as we speak, even the wharves of neighboring countries in Cotonou, Togo, are more equipped. So part of what will be achieved is that agreement and perhaps signing that will make them come in and see how they can modernize our ports. But I dare say that the relationship we had with Britain is more of history, and it wasn't a mutual beneficiary relationship. It was more of exploitation, where they were raking away raw materials and taking back to UK, starting from the colonial period, for the benefit of their country. The industrialization of UK was giving birth to raw materials taken from Nigeria. No wonder after independence, we discovered that there's no much trade we can do between us and them. What we have going for us and them is cultural and education relationship. Go to the streets of London. You think you're in Ojuelegba in Lagos or Broad Street in Lagos. You're likely going to see family, friends, associates like that there. So that's where we are strong. But let's bring in
before he comes in, let me say that whatever relationship we want, even if we want to exploit the expertise of the British in terms of developing our ports, we must learn from mistakes of the past. There was a time in the history of this country that we were experimenting with different countries, including UK, on how to manage our railways, and we didn't derive any benefit. At a stage, we left them and went to Pakistan, brought Pakistanis to come and manage their railways. Today, the greatest progress we made, perhaps, in terms of railway development is from China. So, if we are bringing them in for our port, we must learn from mistakes of the past in such a way that at the end of the day, we derive benefits. It's not just the case of inviting for inviting's sake when we cannot derive benefit at the end of the day, when it will lead to exploitation.
It's the Chinese that are building ports across the world. The Lekki Deep Sea Port in Lagos is still built by the Chinese. So perhaps the government knows why it's turning to the British for the modernization of the ports in Lagos. Okay.
Yeah, like Mr. Bodun said earlier, that they were supposed to explore the area of solid minerals and all that. I don't even think the minister is in that delegation that is following the president to the
Which minister?
The minister of,
he's there already. He's been engaging.
Okay, so if that is the case, then I think we have an opportunity to actually do those negotiations, like Mr. Bodun earlier pointed out, because most Nigerians, especially young people, always feel that when an African leader go to these countries to engage with other world leaders, they always negotiate from a point of weakness, because most times we don't really have what we bring to the table. They always come, give us instructions per se on what they
rather than negotiations.
Exactly.
Like Trump did with some African heads.
When they went to visit him in the White. So at the end of the day, we expect that President Tinubu should be able to negotiate this time from a point of strength, because we have the resources back here, but we shouldn't allow these people to come into the country, do whatever they like. We shouldn't negotiate deals that put us at a disadvantage. That is majorly the issue. Again, if you look at the area of education, I think President Tinubu should be able to, discuss with the leader, the British leader, Prime Minister rather, that there are restrictions sometimes on Nigerian students studying in the UK. As a former colonial master, there should be a little bit of
relaxation of those strict policies.
Nigerian students, because if you go to French, like in France, for instance, most of these countries colonized by France, they get a whole lot of visa
leverage.
Yes, leverage.
It's like their second home. France is the second home of francophone West African countries.
They anyhow, they travel there anyhow they like and all that. But with the British government, it's always difficult. I should have expected that countries like Ghana, Nigeria, countries they colonized in Africa, should have that leverage when they want to go and study in those countries. You see, it be like America.
You see, let me come in here. My first visit to London, I didn't have visa, and I was allowed to enter. That was at the time when the reputation of Nigeria was very high. I was on my way to Australia.
Now you get your visa on arrival.
Yeah, I was on my way to Australia.
Or your passport guarantees you visa.
I was on my way to Australia to go and cover a sporting tournament, a boxing tournament involving Nigeria, Obisi and Wakwa in Australia. And I was then a reporter with Punch newspaper. I entered London, and then from there I took a flight to Australia. I didn't have visa. I was allowed to enter. The reputation of Nigeria was very high then. Nigerians were respected.
Your passport is your visa. Before you enter, you must have some document.
You need to struggle hard to get it. I entered London as a young reporter without visa, and I was allowed to enter in the 80s. So they to address what is the reputation of our country. How do they see Nigerians today? To the last time I mean, about a decade after when I was passing from London to Canada, I can tell you categorically I was subjected to thorough screening. That is an embarrassment. So Nigeria, we have lost our reputation, and we must find a way of rebuilding it. It's not just we have launched so many campaigns. We launched to rebuild our reputation as a country and as citizens. But with those things, have not achieved anything. This is an area where we need to pay proper attention.
Well, I think the meeting should provide the president an opportunity to actually brush up all these issues, because as far as I'm concerned, I don't think the president should, because if you say reputation, fine, we understand that Nigeria has lost, but for the British government, we should have a little bit of leverage, because they colonized this country.
Some concession.
Yes, they colonized this country, and some of these issues we are talking about, they were here when they all started. So we should be able to, negotiate with them and allow the students to have a bit of, let them call that place their home.
A breeder.
Yes.
Even if you don't want them to be at home, at least the conditions of the education of state during the period of the education should be convenient enough for them to even study. I understand what Adebayo Abodure is saying, because there was a time you don't, based on your passport, you can walk into any country of the world, including US. They are happy to receive you as a Nigerian. Today, you talked about the maltreatment you got. When I traveled to the Asiatics, once they see that green passport, they pull me aside to the inner room to grill me. The assumption is that here they come again, these Nigerians. But even the Chinese, who tell me what indiscipline, what law do the Chinese not violate in Nigeria and across the world? They steal our minerals, they maltreat our workers, they kill our women sometimes, but yet the Chinese government has not abandoned them. That's the responsibility of the Nigerian government. The mere fact that you have a Nigerian passport guarantees certain level of protection from your home government. The US, whatever you do, the US mission will come to your defense. Even if they say you killed 1,000 people, they will offer you that defense as guaranteed by law. You shouldn't abandon them. So I understand the point you're making, Oge. When the president gets there, he should make some demands on them as a way of, let it be our take home. It shouldn't be, they roll red rocks. What's the name of those? Welcome to the program. Those musical group, those band that
orchestra.
Yes, that Buhari brought. They were accompanying Buhari whenever he's entering the villa.
No,
they are British. It's the royals, the King's Army.
Yeah,
those people that are dressed in skirt-like and be
like the Scottish.
Thank you. Those Scottish military band. Beyond the music they will play, beyond the fanfare. I recall when Tinubu went to France, they had to play back their own band, popular Nigerian musics. They replayed it and all that. But beyond that, what is our gain there? So why the president is going, we know what the gains the British will be making. They will rake out nearly 800 billion worth of contracts and more. What is our own?
What is the need for Nigeria? That's one aspect that most of our leaders miss when they travel. Most times you find that the travel is all ceremonial, and at the end of the day, what Nigeria is getting is not on the front burner. And that is very, very bad for us, particularly like my brother pointed out, the British who colonized us. He came short of saying, look, even some of these things, they probably...
The reparations, the Abiola champion.
Yes.
Pay us for all the atrocities.
Exactly. They probably taught Nigerians. So I think that the president should have that, not at the back of his mind. It should be his priority to ensure that Nigeria gets some mileage, some leverage from this visit. You talked about the students. The ironic thing is that Nigeria is the highest patron when it comes to business in the UK, education and tourism. If you talk about the BA, Nigeria is one of the highest.
It's the most lucrative route of the British Airways, Lagos and London.
Whether you
the ticket price is the highest in the world.
Emirates, Nigeria is the greatest, patron of these airlines. And Nigerian students are the highest. When you talk about the black race in the UK, I do not think that criminalized, even students criminalized because of what some persons have done. Like you rightly pointed out, every nation has both good, bad, ugly.
Absolutely.
You talk about the Chinese, you talk about Indians, they perpetrate the highest fraud in Nigeria. Sometimes they escape through collaboration.
Yeah, their country has not disowned them.
And then the British, we talk about our lawmakers here. I remember when I went to the UK in 2015, what was making the headlines was a lawmaker who didn't declare his assets, and he had been stealing from the government. So it's everywhere. except that we have not been able to protect our image. In fact, we wash our dirty linen in public. You hardly see most of those news in the British media, the negative ones about the country. I think that we also need to do some things. The media needs to do some work, the way we present ourselves, the way we present our country. And the institutes like the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, I know is doing quite a lot in this regard. They should step it up. They should step it up. We need to clean up. We're not the worst nation on earth. We're not the worst behaved. In fact, we are amongst the best behaved. All the Nigerians that are achieving so much, leading the way economically, most of these countries are not celebrated.
Whenever there's a pool of nationals from different countries of the world, like UN peacekeeping and all that, Nigerians excel.
Yes.
Whenever there's a pool, we excel. So it shows, he talks about we are not the worst. I can even beat my chest and say we are the best.
Exactly. Because, okay, if you go to the UK now, the power sector is manned by Nigerians. The medical sector is manned by Nigerians out there. You go to the UAE in Dubai, the doctor to the Bin Al Maktoum family is a Nigerian. A Nigerian specialist, a Yorama. So Nigerians
so they will not leave those ones. No, they will look for that one that tried to ferry cocaine and beam every problem on him.
And then begin to embarrass us.
So Nigeria, but if Nigerians pull out from the national health insurance system in UK, they go here.
Even the care,
they will hear it.
You know, the care industry has become care. This thing has become an industry. It has become a sector because of Nigerians who will take care of their elderly and all.
So these are the points. The points we expect the Nigerian delegation to raise. MK Abiola talked about reparation. They stole our mineral resources.
They stole
it before they gave us independence. They didn't pay for it.
They are still stealing.
When they talk and say, you remind them of those things they did and say, you owe us. You us. Nigeria helped to build UK. The industrial revolution that took place in UK during the 17th, 18th century, the raw materials came from here. They didn't buy it, they stole it.
Yes. So
let's hear from you as we read some of the mails sent to us.
Thank you, Doctor. Good morning and welcome to the mail segment. I am Aicheda Majekodomi. On the subject of discourse, Manuel Nkama from Alimosho in Lagos State writes, and it says, "Good morning to you, dear political platform crew. Please, I crave your indulgence to observe that President Tinubu to embark on state visits to UK today after 37 years of such visits by Nigeria president with large entourage is nothing special and like a man chasing rat when his house is on fire. This is because what is to be exciting to the suffering and hungry ordinary Nigerians in the so-called historic state visit to the president by the president to UK? What is so spectacular in the visit? When insecurity is worsening with multiple bombs explosion in Maiduguri and scores of people killed. Sadly enough, economic hardship is not abating as prices of fuel is escalating up to 1,500 naira per litre, and the ordinary citizens are paying dearly to eat as it affects them in terms of hiking prices of transportation, goods and services, especially food items. He is appealing to President Bola Tinubu to be compassionate enough and find solutions to the economic hardship of Nigerians, especially the less privileged, due to the ripple effect of the US-Israel war in faraway Iran." And Henry Ewunonu from Abuja also says, "Diplomatic visits are part of governance. They are not Nobel Prizes for leadership. I am pleasantly surprised at the frenzy heralding President Tinubu's scheduled state visit to the UK. UK controls only about 2 to 3% of the global GDP, and its support to Nigeria has dwindled in recent times. At Nigeria's very trying moment, the UK was significantly absent, even in governance. I don't think that the UK has been a great example to emulate. To now convert the visit to a pre-2027 campaign kickoff event is very disturbing. My concern remains the reality at home. Biting economic hardship, including inability of citizens to afford healthcare, worsening insecurity, and declining public trust in all sectors of our national life. Praises should follow performances, not precede it. I don't think this administration has earned it, albeit I wish the president and the very respected wife a great outing with our former colonial masters." And Alice Injustice from Yenagua says, How many times has Tinubu visited the 36 states of the Federation as he's visiting foreign nations? Is it not constitutional for a president to visit states of the country? Please, let him visit the states. Thank you. And to insecurity, Emeka Mba from Abuja says, please permit me to submit that insecurity that have been ravaging the length and breadth of Nigeria is taking a turn for the worse and now beginning to get unbearable as various communities are saddled with mass burials of their men, women, and children, and various others deserted for various reasons. Plateau, Benue, Borno, Kwara, Katsina, Zamfara states, etc. And killing fields and now recording bloodbath on an unprecedented increasing scale never known or recorded before in the history of Nigeria. I make bold to say that this is happening not because the ragtag bloodthirsty army of criminals are better trained, equipped, or more sophisticated than our gallantry army, but because the government of the day is playing the ostrich and more interested in and consumed with politics of retaining power at all costs and not giving insecurity the attention and seriousness it deserves. This is because it is the rural communities that are ravaged, and those indigent, helpless Nigerians don't matter to our leaders presently until the elections, when they go to them with crumbs to deceive them into voting for them, promising them protection and provisions, which will be elusive until 4 years' time of elections, when they'll be remembered again. Also on insecurity, Chidike Ejiofor from Abuja says, I have observed President Tinubu's government from inception, and I am yet to find something to convince me that he is well meant in tackling the problems of this country with the seriousness they deserve. All that is conspicuous about him is one, basking in the euphoria of power as a life ambition achieved. Think of it, amid the myriad crushing problems under the Nigerian groans, which stick to everyone like a second skin, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway became the highest priority together with smaller needless corruption-tainted projects across the country, to which a whopping 15 trillion naira has been committed. For what other program aside from security would have had the absolute attention of anyone who really mean well for this country than power in the helpless condition where the absence of the resource has left us? Lately, I read about a 720 billion naira solarization project to power and remove some federal institutions from the national grid, and I chuckled, asking myself if that all that could come from Mr. President's mind to confront these monsters so abysmal, tokenistic, and insulting. Why is it that in the spheres of political manipulations that this president shows great mastery? Mysterio and pro, so palpable, while even in his demeanor, he betrays stark incapacity in other areas. And that is all we can take this morning on the mail segment. Keep on sending in your mail to us at politicalplatform@dargroup.com.
Thank you so much for the mails. After the smoke, the fire had settled and the dust raised, 23 confirmed that 5 different locations in Maiduguri yesterday evening, just after the of fast. Outskirts of Maiduguri, they attacked, but they were repelled. But yesterday, they chose a different method, killing 23 innocent lives. Very sad and most unfortunate.
Yeah, I commiserate with the bereaved. I also pay glowing tributes to young military officers that have so far paid the supreme sacrifice. I happen to know one of them, young, gangly, Lieutenant Colonel. May their souls rest in peace. It's so sad that if you know Maiduguri, the places they chose, Monday Market,
Front of University of Maiduguri,
yeah, post office, and University of Maiduguri teaching hospital. Those are the busiest areas in Maiduguri. The post office is equivalent of Area 1 or Bega in Abuja, where you see people crowd together looking for vehicles to go to different places within Maiduguri metropolis. It's so sad, and I do hope that what we have learned from this is that insurgency
is still with us.
It's still with us, and it must be dealt with.
It's very, very sad, and I think that we also have to up our this thing in protecting most of these crowded areas in vulnerable places. Some of the people who were pulled out from the VIPs, some of those carrying their handbags, can be sent there to help in beefing up security in those areas.
And employ technology. There are cameras that can detect guns, bullets, and IEDs, even bombs. They exist. All we need to do is to acquire them and deploy them. And I ask myself, what have we achieved in going to 20 years since Boko Haram started? Because attacks on military formation, explosion of IEDs have continued today. Something we had during that of Jonathan. Have we really made any gain? Big question for us. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a good time.